Hi folks, Off-Grid Wannabe here with a short update. I was having troubles reaching float for whatever reasons. I think I determined it to be my values were too close together between absorb and float. Once I've opened them up a little bit, it seems to work a lot better. So I use the manufacturer's float settings, 27.2 and 29.2, and that seems to have cured my problem. So now it does what it's supposed to do. Now Midnight says to put the time on 3 minutes because a lot of lithium batteries don't like being at 29.2, but it doesn't seem to bother this one at all. What it's at, 29.2 or whatever, and the time doesn't matter. It'll sit there now on absorb until, of course, it reaches its time limit. I got it set to 59 minutes right now. I had it set to 3 minutes earlier and it worked, but it also hit float really fast, and then it wasn't really 100%. So then whenever it hit absorb, it was still pulling like 20, 29, 30 amps. So I knew it wasn't full. So now I'm going to let it sit now, let it absorb a lot longer so that it can fill up the battery basically. So we're at what, 86% now. I use about 150 amp hours every night, so it sucks it down pretty good. It was 53% I think this morning. So anyway, I think that's the trick, is to keep that keep it in absorb. Might last a little bit longer that way, or charge a bit faster. I don't know. It's charging good now anyway, and it's cutting out onto float like it should. So all I gotta do is wait for the sun to shine, and away we go. Days are getting shorter already, folks, so soon time to get the most we can out of this deal. Okay, for now, that's my short update. Thanks for watching. Hey folks, yeah, this is the Midnight Solar Support ticket that I pulled up, and these settings allow it to work. This is the one with the 4 minutes. All I did was Google Lithium settings Midnight Classic, and it was easy to find. So it's a frequently asked question. But the part that was interesting was the last paragraph here. Many lithium systems want charging to stop at a certain voltage and start back up at a voltage. This would be accomplished by setting the absorb time to 4 minutes, and this works. I tried this, and using the rebulk voltage, which I set to 28.8, and it just marches along. It hits 29.2, and then it for 4 minutes, and then it cuts out and goes to rebulk. The only problem that I see with this, doing it this way, is that as soon as you hit that 4 minutes, it gives you a false state of charge of 100%. So that's to saw off there. But if it doesn't really mind changing, then it just does it almost automatic. It's almost hard to see when so now I'm back into bulk because sun went out, and it just automatically goes back to bulk MPPT charging. So now we're at 88%. So I'm not getting the false state of charge because I've increased my minutes. Most places I see want you to use 30 minutes for every 100 amp hours of battery, which is a lot different than what this document from Midnight says, but it does work. but you do sacrifice the state of charge. So if you have any state of charge settings, then they won't work. You'll have to use voltage settings, and I always thought that was the best way anyway. So I'm still waiting. The sun's not going to cooperate. I was hoping to get my 59 minutes in so I could see it actually go into float at when it was actually a state of charge closer to what's reality. But the sun's not going to cooperate yet, so I'll try again in a few minutes. Anyway, thank you, folks. There we go. The sun come back out, so it popped right up there at 29.1, 29. Well, it was 29.2, 1646 watts. But it's still got a ways to go. Now, if I had had it on the 4 minutes, it's been about 3 minutes now, so about 4 minutes, it would have went to float. And see there, it just jumped back. The sun went in a little bit, jumped back to bulk instead of to float, and then float would have run the battery for a while, then into bulk. But it does the circle just the same. It comes back and it goes back right to absorb. But this way, it doesn't use up the little bit of battery on a day when you're not getting all the sun you need, which it's coming, closer and closer now to the short hours for us here in Canada. So I'd like to get these settings as close as I can so I get as much out of the sun as possible, of course. Anyway, I just thought try to explain this. Hopefully I'm making sense. Ciao for now, buddy. But one thing for sure, there's a lot of confusing information on lithium batteries and charge controllers. No doubt. Now this battery here, of course, needs a BMS. I mean, to keep 1900 batteries in balance is a difficult task. But of course, we're only using eight strings. This is 12 actually. This is a 40 amp batteries or 40 volt battery. So there's actually 12S. But to go on the other setting, now this charge controller, it has lithium settings. I didn't go with the absorb. I just went with the constant current, constant voltage. It really doesn't charge much different than the midnight. When you get up to close to your voltage for it has two different drawbacks or safeties, right? First one I have set on this particular battery to 42 volts, 3.55. Now, they may not get topped off like that. That's why with my eSmart batteries, which are the ones down here, they give me the absorbed voltage, and I use the midnight to charge those eSmart batteries. So they have their own BMS system built into every battery. So in that case, the manufacturer wants me to run it at 29.2 so that the BMS has time to balance out those individual cells with the higher voltage, because it controls, that's how it gets it completely full, right? Now knowing that, I've tried to keep the voltage high on this one, but I had an incident with one of these batteries already once, so I'm a little bit shy. But anyway, I've kept it at 42. Now it's approaching 89%, and you'll see it dither off we won't see it here because it'll take me hours to get to 42. But it actually slows down the current for the constant current part and holds the voltage high, and then it will balance every cell. And that's exactly what the eSmart's doing, and that's why the manufacturer says to put it to 29.2. Like I say, a lot of confusing information. And everybody needs to get the one that they use set correctly, because every battery system's different. And what the manufacturer wants is what you have to give them. So that's this one. I want to save it. I don't want to run them up that high. But every once in a while, I'll let it run right to 42 and just keep it there. And it dithers back, and it'll take from the high and give to the low, it balances, and it'll set it all up there. I get an extra, pretty near a half a volt, and I get about an extra, boy, I don't know, it must be 20 AH if I let it sit there and balance out the top. It's quite happy up there. But that being said, all that voltage at the top dissipates really fast when you go to use anything, and that's why I don't spend a lot of time trying to keep it up there at all. Now we're at, what are we at there? 89%. So when it gets up to like 95%, it'll be at 41.7, and then I'm not really gaining much by pounding more into it. So I usually just back it off then. Anyway, just a Friday looking for something to do and trying to understand more and more how to put this stuff together so it works better. It's all in experiments, folks. Thanks for watching. Well, looks like I've hit the full mark today. 100%. Now here's my monomer voltage. Turn that fan off. Monomer voltage is out of balance. You can see when it hits the top, there's always one guy that wants to hit first, and 15 there hit first, so 355 is what I had it set at. I didn't want to go to 365. I don't need to go that high, so I got one low guy at 3.456. So that's my monomer over voltage, and it's pressure balancing. So the controller, I just turned on a couple more microinverters to try and bring it down or use some of the solar power. So now it's moved back down to 800 because this guy's got her blocked from putting it in the rest into the battery. I was making about 1400 there. So anyway, looks like all is working as it should. It gave me a warning. It gave me the 3 beeps or 5 beeps, whatever it is, and that there's one too high or something is too high. Now it's pulling it back down because I got it on discharge, right? So it's trying to pull it back down. But it all works pretty well the way it's supposed to. I'm impressed. Most of my stuff doesn't work this good. Well, it works, but this one works just like it's supposed to. I would like to see there's no difference, but it only has 200 milliamp on the balance, so it's slow with this big battery. It takes time. Anyway, it's good to see that she's all going. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you like. Give me a check mark if you like it. Ciao for now, buddy.